face our own nation to the issues that face our galaxy, we turn to the topic of UFOs. The prompter said pause for music, which I did, and it actually worked pretty well. Spooky science fiction, government cover-up, or both. Our next guest calling for a formal investigation of unidentified flying objects. Leslie Kean, a journalist and author of the new book, UFOs Generals, Pilots, and Government Officials Go on the Record. There's the book. You just saw Leslie. Let's have at it. We discussed the book, as you probably know, yesterday on the show. Benefit all of us briefly with the basic premise of your book, the most valid observations you feel like you have for the existence of UFOs.
Yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, what the book does is it brings forward people from very high levels around the world, military people, generals, officials who have been head of government agencies that have investigated UFOs, and pilots who have encountered them. So it's kind of a grouping of these very high-level people that are bringing forth data, their own testimonies about what has happened, results of decades of research, government documents, physical evidence, all of them together. So, you know, when you read the cases, and the other important thing is that they have written their own pieces for this book. I'm not just quoting them and telling you what they say. Half the book is actually a compilation of pieces written by these individuals in their own words.
The professor who was with us yesterday was basically saying that you can rule out 95% of UFOs. It's the 5% that you can't rule out that you have to deal with.
Exactly.
That's your premise.
Absolutely. I would agree with them 100%. And that the cases that are represented in the book are among that 5%. And what that 5% is it's sightings for which there is enough evidence that we can eliminate all options for explaining it. And cases that have been officially investigated, you know, that they're investigated enough so that we know there's no explanation for them. So
let me talk about a couple of the things. We ran through some of this various skeptics of which you know there's no shortage. And one of the issues that people have brought up as it pertains to the book is that pilots are not reliable sources, that pilots by definition are skewed towards better safe than sorry when they see something, whether it's dangerous or not, whether it's foreign or not, that their tendency, because it's rational on their part, is to basically observe whatever the aberration is and then split because they're flying an airplane and there's no reason to stick around and find out. But it doesn't mean that what they think they saw is what they saw.
Well, I mean, I would disagree with that, and I've spoken to aviation experts, one of them who has written an extensive chapter in the book about aviation safety issues in UFOs, a lot of people believe that pilots are, in fact, our best trained observers. They're trained to recognize everything in the sky because the safety of their passengers is at stake. And they know what aircraft look like, what military aircraft look like, what bizarre weather phenomenon look like. I mean, they're trained. So I would have to disagree that they're not good observers.
And what about the argument that unexplained or unidentified, and if you can confirm it's unidentified, doesn't necessarily mean that it is foreign or that it is from another galaxy?
Absolutely. I mean, nobody in this book who has, or the people that have witnessed these things, are claiming that these are from another galaxy, that they're extraterrestrial. The premise of the book is that there is a phenomenon there, but we do not know what it is.
And what is the phenomenon that you assert is there?
Well, it appears to be some kind of technological craft, objects that are flying around that demonstrate all kinds of capabilities that we don't have here, such as being able to hover and then zoom off at the blink of an eye. I mean, they're demonstrating physics that we cannot explain according to our own technological capabilities. And this is seen over and over again. These are what these people are documenting. And they do show up on radar. They leave marks on the ground. I mean, there's enough physical evidence of their presence that without a doubt there is something there. That's the point. What it is the question. It has not been explained yet.
Well,
what we want to have happen now is for a proper scientific investigation to be done, to find out. I mean, everybody wants to know.
You're pretty...
A lot of people want to know.
Not everybody. Some people might not want to know.
What I meant was a lot of people. A lot of people.
Fair enough. Because there might be some people, they may not care.
Well, that's
They might just want to get a hot dog.
A lot of people don't care. A lot of people do care, especially the ones who have seen them and want answers. I mean, with some of these people who see them, it changes your life.
How does it change your life?
Because you are seeing something so phenomenal that is not supposed to exist, that everybody around you says can't possibly be. You get ridiculed, people don't believe you, but you have seen it with your own eyes. And the governor of Arizona was one of these people, the former governor of Arizona, who has written from my book. He saw this thing in 1997 that hundreds, probably thousands of people saw in his own state, and he didn't even admit it until 10 years later. But it changed his life.
You're rough on the skeptics in your book. You say non-believers are dishonest, irrational, fear and ignorance. Can't skeptics ultimately, in the scientific process, don't you want to be skeptical in the scientific process? Isn't
Yes.
the root, the soul, the process skepticism?
Actually, the introduction to my book, I say we want skepticism. You have to define what skepticism really means. And what I think what you're talking about there is actually the people that we call debunkers, who are people that are just on a mission to prove, they'll say anything to get across the point that UFOs don't exist, because they can't exist. It's they can't exist, so they don't exist. And these are the people that have not studied the data, don't read about it, can't talk about specific cases, and will just give you irrational explanations like the planet Venus for something when planet Venus isn't even in the sky that night. That's happened. So there's a difference between a skeptic and a bunker. Skeptics, we welcome. We're all skeptics. We don't know what these things are.
Skeptics, yes. Debunkers, no.
To be simple about it, yeah. But I mean, we separate in the book what the difference is between those two.
Do you think if aliens exist, they would bring capital that could flow into America to create jobs?
I think that if we discovered that we were being visited by extraterrestrials, which is a possibility given the data, it would change a lot of things, and it would have a lot of repercussions.
You think we'd have jobs?
Can't talk about jobs.
It's a pleasure.
But something bigger than that.
Bigger than jobs.
More important.
Here, a pleasure
the way
to meet you.
We see ourselves.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right.
A lot,
Leslie Kean, author of UFOs, Generals, Pilots, and Government Officials Go on the Record, could change the way we see ourselves, and it might create a job or two. You could be an alien watcher. You could work at the alien port, unloading alien baggage. Maybe not. Coming up on Hardball.